is David Gilmour on this album?
Yes, David Gilmour is indeed on this album.
Holy!
They were trying to get permission to use the track, and everyone was saying like, "No, they're not. You're not going to get it, dude. You're not going to get it." They send it to fucking David Gilmour, and not only does he say yes, he's like, "I love it, and I want to be on it." So he's on it. Welcome to Every Album Ever with Mike and Alex, a podcast where we listen to every single album in the world, one artist at a time. My name is Michael Mansour, and I'm joined as always by my Dodger Blue co-host, Alexander Volt. Say hello.
I am, in fact, in the house.
And today, what are we discussing? This is, by the way, Loose Ends, our first ever second Loose Ends for the same band. And guess what, Alex? This band was our first Loose Ends ever.
I love it.
They keep coming. What are we talking about, Alex? What are we talking about?
We're talking about the latest album from Body Count entitled Merciless. And I just love that we've become like stewards of Body Count's career in a way.
It's hilarious. We covered Body Count's full discography in the very early days of the podcast. It was episode 9. It was so far back that there's no video for it. It's probably a real pain in the ass to actually find the episode. I'm sure the episode was horrible because we were so brand new at doing this thing. And then later on, when they put out, was it Blood? Not Blood. Was it no, not Bloodlust. Carnivore. In 2020. It was 2020. Yeah, and that was our first ever Loose Ends. They're like, well, they're going to keep putting out albums. We got to fucking cover them somehow. We came up with the Loose Ends mini, spin-off series. And then it was so early with doing Loose Ends episodes that there was no video for that either. We were already doing video. We're like, Loose Ends, we're not going to do video for that. And so everything about this band has been, for us and our podcast, is already outdated. So this is our first Body Count video. And they're back in the house. They are always in the house. They are back in the house. Alex loves Body Count.
They actually don't say it on this album, though.
Not once. Is it their first album ever where they don't say Body Count's in the house?
I can't say for sure. I can't even say for sure because some of those albums I don't want to revisit, and I've been a very busy man this fall. So
some of those albums, from what I remember from 5 years ago, were horrific. Like the middle chunk of albums. And then I really had, I didn't like Body Count. I liked the first album and I liked the last album, which was Bloodlust, I think. I think the one before that wasn't too bad either. I don't remember. But
I would say since they started working with Will Putney of Fit for an Autopsy, they've gotten better, and the rebirth phase of Body, as they call it, it's not perfect, but I like Bloodlust. I think that album slaps, and I like this album a lot.
I like this album too. I like Carnivore a lot too. I mean, what you just said, these last 3 albums, they're like formidable metal albums. They're definitely they feel very LA. They feel extremely LA, but the riffs aren't too bad at all. The performances are extremely tight. Some of the choices are they're not revolutionizing stuff, but it is it's solid. It's solid thrash
for sure. And shout out to Ernie C, the guitar player, because he's an old man, and I think on this album more so than the previous 2, he's done a really good job of adapting his sound, where it's yes, they love Slayer, they love Suicidal Tendencies in that era of thrash, but a lot of this does sound new and modern, and not in a cringy I can't believe the old guys are trying to do that in a way that makes sense for Body Count.
Yeah it fits. There's this certain style and presentation of Body Count where even though like if some of these tracks we got some guests on here, some pretty great guests on here. Some pretty surprising guests on here actually.
This album probably win if I gave an award for the most what the fuck random guest appearances. This album would fucking win it hands down. It's crazy.
There's some wacky stuff on here. So okay, let's just run through them. Well, why the hell not? I mean, on the Purge, we got Corpsegrinder.
Yes,
and of course, yeah, Cannibal Corpse, which is pretty sick.
And then yeah, like I was listening to that song. I'll talk about it later, but then it gets to the death metal vocals. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like I wouldn't mind hearing that more regularly in Body Count. Mm-hmm. And then I saw it's fucking Corpsegrinder.
Yep. All these things. I'd already listened to the album, I think twice before I'd even realized like who all these guests were before I started reading about it, and reading like the press release and all that. We got Joe Bad on Psychopath, one of the singles.
Mm-hmm. Who I'm not familiar with.
Nor am I. I was hoping by me saying that you're gonna be like, "Oh, that's Joe Bad." From and I was like, "Joe Bad is on there." All right, none of us know who that is. Fair enough.
So the biggest one, possibly, but it was worded kind of weird. In the is David Gilmour on this album?
Yes, David Gilmour is indeed on this album.
Holy fuck!
So there is it's one of the singles out right now, or one of that tracks released. Holy fucking deed. They cover Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd.
Like reinterpret it.
They cover it, but they change the lyrics. It's a very Ice does his own fucking thing with it. And at least according to the press release, they were trying to get permission to use the track. And everyone was saying like, no, they're not. You're not going to get it, dude. You're not going to get it. They send it to fucking David Gilmour, and not only does he say yes, he's like, I love it and I want to be on it. So he's on it.
Hell yeah! What a great story! Like what a great I don't know if it's going to make the album, and it went from that to it's on the album, and we got David Gilmour.
Ridiculous. We got also on here. We got my boy Max Cavalera on Drug Lords.
Oh hell yeah! I didn't even catch that. I thought I was thorough, but
yeah. Who else do we got? Is that all? We got Howard Jones and Live Forever. I don't know who Howard Jones is. Do you know?
No.
Okay.
Also, nothing in the PR, but maybe it's that Bag Joe guy on Psychopath. He sounds a lot like Randy. He sounds a lot like Randy from Lamb of God.
He's the Fit for an Autopsy vocalist. Joe Bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it makes perfect sense.
That does make sense as the producer. Yeah, I didn't realize how much that dude sounded like Randy. Because was Randy on Bloodlust? I should have done my research. Because Bloodlust, it was like cool. Yes, because Randy has worked with them. So yeah, it was like, yeah, Max was on there. Mistake. Like, those make sense, but like,
yeah,
David Gilmour. I feel like even Corpsegrinder is a deep hole because it's like Cannibal Corpse, the name, and the song titles are, I'll say infamous. They're infamous or famous, but like very few people will be like, let's put Corpsegrinder on.
Why the hell not? I mean, he's obviously, for regular people and lay people, you're going to hear death metal vocals and you're going to think they're all sound the same. But, for hardcore nerds, that's pretty neat.
It is cool.
Or if you're Jim Carrey, then yeah, then like, oh yeah, it's Corpsegrinder. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well start talking about some of these songs. So, the I don't want to call it campiness. It's not exactly campiness because there's a certain thing that Ice-T always brings to Body Count that's like funny and fun, but he's being serious.
Yes.
It comes across as very comical, like very like cartoonish and like really exaggerated. So I don't exactly know how to interpret that. That's just what I see as always, even with his rap stuff.
I think you did a good job, and I don't know if the lyric you're getting at here is on the opening track, Interrogation. Let me just set up how it sounds for the listeners. It's kind of groovy. It's almost like electronic sounding, like it could be like Nine Inch Nails song. And then one of the lyrics, Ice-T says, I actually orgasm during torture. And it's just, I'm sorry, it's funny. It's funny.
It's very funny.
I think it fits in the body count universe.
It's funny.
I don't know. Like, I feel like metal's also so serious sometimes. I kind of appreciate an over the top, like almost leaning into the metal cliches with a lyric like that.
Some of it is so funny, but I can't tell how intentional it is. Like with lyrically, I mean, because there some of it is like so much like, oh yeah, I remember really believing this shit when I was a teenager. Like what is it? Which song is it? I don't remember the song title. Either way, there's I forget which song it is, but there's lyrics in there about ISIS saying shit like, I'm comfortable in places that most people would consider hell. This is the stuff that makes me happy, like torture and killing. Like it's this funny thing where he's like, check out, know it. You guys, you normal people, you can't handle the shit that I like. The shit that I like, you guys, it's so much of that. It's very funny to me. I find it extremely endearing. And I don't know if that's that's what it was meant to do, but
I think a lot of it is like a holdover of him, you know, from when he grew up, where like these genres were very much separated. And, you know, South Central LA was very, like, I'm sure it's not 100% great, but it's not as bad as it was when he was growing up. And I think some of that is like a holdover too. And also like he's like 60. He lives a lot of, like, he wears a lot of hats. He's in a metal band. He's a rapper. For some reason, he's on Law and Order. It's fucking amazing.
to pay the bills, Alex. He's on Law and Order to pay the. He makes music to stay sane. That's a quote from him. I'm paraphrasing the quote, but
yeah. I also remember. I think it was on Conan. He was just talking about his love of Tupperware. The man likes to keep his leftovers fresh. He's just
listen. If you don't love Tupperware, you're fucking stupid. I mean, I don't know what is there not to love. Do I use it? Not that much. I actually use a lot of saran wrap. Believe it or not, it's easier with avocados and shit. It's very versatile. I store a lot of meat. It's a lot easier than having a shit. That's beside the point. But the actual song, like the actual music, one of the quotes, not quotes, but one of the things he said, I don't remember the actual quote, was I wanted them to bring in music so fucking great that they didn't need vocals or they didn't need lyrics.
I love that mentality, and I think it paid off in a big way here, because before he even jumps on a lot of these tracks, they've already won me over on a lot of them, and that's before I read that quote. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of fucking sense now.
The riffs are pretty solid. I mean, I'm just
Ernie C.
Some pretty good stuff.
He stepped up in a big way, I think.
Yeah, like the title track. It's funny because the main characteristic, one of the main characteristics of the title track, that when I first heard it, I thought it was like campy and kind of silly. Like I was charmed by it, but I was like, this is. I mean, it's a bit much, and it's the chorus, the giant. Merciless. It's so loud. It's mixed so loud.
Yeah.
When I was listening to it again, that was my favorite. That was the part of the song that I kept grabbing onto. That's the part that I got excited for. There's something weirdly like B-movie charm about it. There's something about that big, giant, really loud production, big old echoey growls. It's something nice about it. I don't even know how to describe it.
One of my nitpicks about this album, and it has nothing to do with the sound, like I wish it came out before Halloween, because Ice is talking about how he's watching a lot of horror movies, and on the title track, like it's almost like heavy metal John Carpenter music for a little bit. It has like a very stabby vibe to it, and then it turns into like this Slayer thrash thing. It's very impressive, but this whole thing is like perfect heavy metal Halloween music.
Definitely, it has. So for one of the reasons for that, 98 because of the cover of Comfortably Numb. All the original songs, the riffs straight evil. They're all evil riffs, just as evil as you can make it, as evil, as twisted, as ugly as you can make it. There's no light on here. There's no poppiness. There's no real catchiness. There's good riffs, but they're all really evil and bitter. And the character, it comes just with how they do it. Of course, like the title track, there's like this really cool gallopy breakdown around 2 minutes in, where I mean that's a great example of like the highs of how evil the riffs get, like how cool and how and a perfect representation of the evil riffs on this album. The breakdown on Merciless.
Yes, and I think that's when it kind of transitions into a more of a proper thrash song around there.
Yeah, there's straight up thrashy moments. There's not many songs that go high speed and stay there the whole way through. They usually kind of dip back and forth between mid pace and fast. But Purge is where we get some high speed thrash, and it rules. That might be my favorite song on the album. I don't know if I could pick, but that's one of them.
I think it's a little. The Purge movies are just so overexposed, but whatever. It's Ice-T, baby, and we got Corpsegrinder on here.
Indeed. Hold on, my camera froze again. This is a problem. The reason for those watching, the reason why my video keeps hopping back and forth between shitty video and good videos because I'm having problems here and I'm not sure how to fix it completely, but we're hoping for the best. Anyway, so you're not as big on. I get why you're not as big on Purge because of the lyric.
Yeah, lyrically, but luckily, we've set the pretense of that these songs rule without lyrics, so it's still like. Yeah, the lyrics are my problem with it, but like musically, it rules.
Yeah, the lyrics. The Purge thing, it was a great idea that was fumbled to high hell. It was a wonderful idea for a horror movie. I mean, and honestly, if this song was the only thing about that existed, I would think it's perfect. I would think it's the perfect song.
I will say it would be different if like the makers of the Purge movies were like, yeah, we got a Purge movie coming out, and they approached Body Count to like be like, can you write a Purge? That would be different.
Or if the movies didn't exist and it was just a song, that's my preferred universe. That's what I would prefer.
Silver lining, the movies exist, so we get a cool Body Count song.
Fair enough. The actual riffs rule. It hits really hard. It's just straight up thrash, and that's where we get Corpsegrinder, and that's also the first. I don't go back to Body Count albums. I don't know if there are other growls on any of the other ones. I don't remember. Not
really, outside of I guess Randy from Lamb of God and Max. We had the Power Trip singer. We had Jamie Josta.
Jamie Josta, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Amy Lee, I forgot about Amy Lee.
Yeah. And then Jello Biafra's goofy ass comes in.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was fun. He did like the intro, right?
I love Jello though. I'm just kidding.
Love Jello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're getting these growls, and then there's with all the guests on here, like they're peppered in quite a bit, and it's just a nice mix. It's a nice mix up.
Yeah, it's never like overdone. I like the way they use guests.
Yeah, there's never any fatigue, and even though there's plenty of like sameness on here, and there's a lot of sameness, I tend to not really have a problem with most of these songs. I have like 3 songs that I have problems with, but the main one, unfortunately that I have a problem with is the Comfortably Numb cover. I actually don't like it at all. I feel shitty that I don't like it, honestly.
I think I just like the audacity of it. It's so crazy that it exists.
It is crazy. I don't have a problem with the lyrics at all. I think that's probably the only thing that would keep me interested. It's really everything else about it. I'm not really interested in a Pink Floyd cover unless they're going to make it something completely different. Because I mean, that's just how I prefer covers in general for the most part. But
shout out to the Ghetto Boys, not a cover, but they took that money track, chopped it up, and gave us something cool.
When you can take something and do your own thing with it, baby. And also, actual David Gilmour on Comfortably Numb sounds hilarious to me.
He doesn't even sound like himself.
No, no, I didn't fucking think it was him. It's super cool he's on there, but it made me laugh. Like, first listen, 100% made me laugh.
I guess it is a bit of a novelty, but it's just the wackiest novelty.
It is very wacky. Although, Body Count is not shy to wacky. They've gone wacky plenty.
Yes, and Ice might be angry at us because he's actually said this could potentially be his masterpiece.
He did say that. I think that he can and has done better. Well, lyrically, lyrically, that's a different story. Because a lot of these lyrics, when they're not over the top, hilarious, ridiculous, carnival gore kind of stuff, it's very current. There's obviously World War is very, very, very current, very topical, and he's not really preaching anything super everyone will get offended by anything, but he seems to be coming from a very reasonable stance of fuck them, we're fuck everybody, which I tend to be of the camp of fuck everybody. So it's just more of his kind of sincere points of view on stuff. So you kind of feel a little bit more of a connection with those songs. And that's what I like about Comfortably Numb. It's just more of a connection of where he's coming from. It's just musically fucking no, I'm all right. I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me.
He's gonna find you and
shit.
Pivoting to some funny lyrics since you bought them. Go to Fuck What You Heard. There's about 2 songs where maybe he dabbles into rapping, if you even really want to call it that. But I'm sorry. Demo Crips and Blood Publicans. It just made me laugh. It
is funny. Demo Crips, Blood Publicans. That's hard to say.
It's so hard to say, but he did it, and
yeah.
I'm
okay with that. I'm fine with that. That's fun.
It's just kind of like what you were talking about on Comfortably Numb. A lot of that on the Fuck What You Heard song. So
yeah, there's that's the one of the few tracks where you say he's sort of rapping, but it just has hip hop DNA in it. It just
I think on this one he's found this even though he'll say he was never rapping, and even on the first album, and he kind of felt once he heard also these are his words, I'm paraphrasing, but when he heard Biohazard, he felt those New York hardcore bands were kind of rapping, and he's not wrong, but there was always he's a rapper. But yeah, these ones are, I would say, pretty smooth and seamless. It doesn't feel like this we're taking peanut butter and jelly and slamming it together. It's a more of a mix.
There's something about Body Count in particular, and I got it all over this album, and it's it's a thing that I should hate because I came from East LA and I came from that type of thing, where East LA, South Central definitely too. I spent a lot of time in both, but lived in East LA, and there's a lot of similarities between the two. When it comes to metal and punk and stuff, there's a personality that hoods in LA have when what they bring to metal and punk. There's a certain type of fucking thing. I can't really. It just feels like thug metal, and it's not even I don't mean thugs are playing it. It's just the type of metal you would hear in backyards in South Central, which I've spent so many fucking nights there. So there's this personality to it that I grew to not like, because they became redundant, and so many bands just ended up doing the same thing, and a lot of it just wasn't that great. This is doing it in a way that's these are actually pretty cool. These are actually good songs doing this thing that I was so familiar with from my childhood or teenagehood, whatever. It's interesting. It's it's almost its own subgenre of thrash.
It really is, and I know what you're talking. I would almost throw some Pantera songs in the thug metal thing. And it's also very funny that Ice-T called out Pantera for wearing spandex. He was I was more metal than these dudes when I He's
literally was. They were literally wearing spandex.
Yep.
And it was before Dimebag was Dimebag. He was Diamond. He was Diamond Daryl, all right?
Diamond Daryl, yes.
Although he was Diamond Daryl on Vulgar and Cowboys from Hell. So, yeah. What else we got here? Psychopath.
That's to me is, I don't know if that's a single, but to me that's a good song. Okay.
Yeah.
I get that. That kind of encapsulates what's going on this whole album in the cleanest way possible. You get the classic thrash song or sound, and then you get like this newer sounding stuff without sounding dated. So
it rules. I think it's pretty good stuff, man. Gnarly ass thrash with this kind of chunky mathy opening section. They got fucking chainsaws in the chorus.
I mean,
you gotta have your chainsaws in the chorus when you're talking about gore, baby. And then there's that breakdown around 2:10 that's super fun.
I forgot to write it down. I should have, but I feel like lots of times when punk or metal bands do gunshots, they miss the chance to throw the snare on top of the gunshots. This album, they actually do it. I forget what song it was. I'm sorry, but
I can tell you in a second. I swear I fucking wrote it down. It's on Do or Die.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was a cool choice. And then one last Ice-T lyric. I'm not pro gun. I'm pro staying alive.
Hey man, how else you can defend yourself, baby? I mean, you could use other things, but it's just they work better. I Do or Die for the actual song. I dig the verse a lot. Has a ton of chokes, hits very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a section that follows that with these big heavy toms and spoken word stuff. Dig it. Not bad at all.
Yeah, one of my favorite tracks on here is "Live Forever."
Oh, really? That's one of my lesser favorite ones. Why?
I think I know why you dislike it, and that part caught me off guard, but I was having such a good, like if I ever see Body Count live again, I think this would be a killer song live. I don't know, there's something about it where it's a lot of fun. I'm not a big fan of those sleeked, overproduced, clean vocals.
Yes, the reason I don't like it.
Yes. And I think that's a legitimate argument, but much like the problem I have with the lyrics for The Purge, they've set the table where it's like these songs rule without lyrics, without singing. So for me, it's like, well, if there's something I don't like, they've already made sure the songs are good.
To be fair, that is literally the only part of the song I don't like. It's that choice of that. And you said would you say sleek, overproduced, kind of clean?
It does sound like very like modern, like a band. And I may be wrong. Maybe like Motionless in White or In This Moment. I apologize.
I have no say. I have no idea.
I think they do shit like that. I could be wrong. I hear these bands in passing and I try to delete it from my memory. So
I couldn't even think of the words to describe how these vocals sound because I use words like shiny all the time when the production's really but this is like you're like a fucking RPG shiny, like over the top super duper Dragon Force-y shiny, like really really shiny.
I also
mystical. It sounds fucking mystical.
I also call it the Linkin Park effect, where like now a lot of these bands like grew up listening to Linkin Park. And so, like, it's ingrained in their sound. So,
oh god, I fucking always hated Linkin Park. I mean, I'll never turn around on that one. I'm sorry.
As a young man, I dabbled, I enjoyed, and what I heard, I was subjected to one of the songs recently, and I was like, you know what? I'll give them the one. This is the one. I don't remember. Right. I'm like spacing on it. If I heard, it's the one with like the strings and the violins.
Yeah. Asking the wrong guy.
That one.
Oh, that one. That's the one.
Anyways, yeah.
But as for the rest of the song, it's got some pretty solid, minor key. It's still evil, but it's not quite as evil. It's a little bit more just regular minor key instead of full on dark and evil. But it's got some pretty good moments, despite the fact that I don't like that chorus. The other one that I liked it more on second listen, but at first it rubbed me the wrong way, and it's still one of my lesser favorites. Is Drug Lords, despite the fact that I love Max Cavalera. I love him as a guy. He's one of my favorite guys in metal. I love his voice. I don't like the way his voice sounds on that track.
Initially, I was confused why Body Count was speaking Portuguese, but
is he speaking Portuguese on there?
In the opening, yeah.
Didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I was
Ice-T must be. It must be Ice-T.
Yeah, he's an enlightened man.
Oh shit.
I like that. I think that's like the most traditional sounding thrash punk, DRI sounding song, if you will. So it's a cool little throwback. I think the weakest song on here, and it's not bad, I just don't feel as strongly about it as other ones, is Lying Motherfucker. It's this.
Oh.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but I feel like other songs, they do like something that like stays with me when it's over. When Lying Motherfucker's over, I'm kind of just like, oh, on to the next one.
See, Lying Motherfucker has that moment for me, and that I would have felt the exact same if it wasn't for the solo section at 150.
Okay.
Where it does these weird, ugly guitar harmonies.
And it might grow on me. Who knows? Like I said, I don't hate it. I just think in a strong album, it's I don't even want to call it a weak link because that's not right. But
I totally understand what you're saying. I just had that moment for me. It was that riff, that whole section, that whole solo section. Yeah. I think it's a great section.
Well, now in the future, my ears will be more open to it.
Attuned to that one. Yeah. Actually, it's funny because you brought up DRI energy on Drug Lords. The reason I mostly don't like it is that rhythm.
Really?
The rhythm of it feels it. Oh, man, I don't know why I don't like it. It's just something about it rubs me the fucking wrong way. That's not nothing inherently bad about it. There's just something a little hokey about it. I don't love, but I still found myself enjoying a little bit more on second listen. Yeah, like I said, we were talking about World War. It's got some great sections, especially the big dirty bass section around 220.
It's basically
nice breakdown there.
It's basically like Ice-T's State of the Union address.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Can't argue with that. I mean, even if you don't agree with it, man, there's something really charming about the way he relays his message. It's something like almost,
look,
it's going to sound like, I want to say harmless, even though he's threatening you. Harmless in the sense that like I don't know, you just believe him, I guess. I think you just believe him.
I don't think someone, whether it's on TV or in music or even in video games, he's in Borderlands 3. I don't know if he's in other video games, but
oh shit, I didn't know that.
I don't think someone has that staying power if they're not charming, especially Ice-T, who's like famous, but I wouldn't say he's like he's not at the level where like a Beyonce is.
Yeah, but that's a level you gotta hurt some people to get to.
like younger people may not know who he is, but so yeah, like he does have to like stay relevant and do these different things, and I don't think it happens if there's not a charm to it, which he's always had.
Yeah, I remember seeing a video of him trying a bagel for the first time, and that was so fun.
yeah, like even like Rick and Morty made that like joke where there was a literal tea made of ice, and then they did like a sequel episode, and they got Ice-T to play the dad, which is pretty funny. He's not voicing the Ice-T; he's voicing the so.
Yeah, he's great. The closer is Mike Contract, which has has some swing to it, which is a little bit different from the rest of the tracks. On the verse, the riffs that are higher up on the neck really just remind me of Soundgarden guitars for some reason. Just like
Interesting.
Bad Motorfinger era Soundgarden guitars, high up on the neck stuff. The song doesn't sound like Soundgarden at all. It's just the guitar tone.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not bad. Comes in, fucks up the house, gets out. It's very straightforward. It's just about, I mean, it's about as likable as the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I like it as a closer, and to me, it does carve out its own little unique corner in the album, where this is like the second one where it's rapping and it's relatively like fast for Ice. And yeah, I just think it's again a cool like culmination of their career, or like, hey, not all our albums are great, but like we're really fucking trying here, and it's it warms my heart. I love people doing it for the love of the game.
Yeah, and it's well produced. I mean, for a thrash album, this is about as as good as you can expect from a thrash album. I mean, it's very cleaned up. It's very tight and very, very full.
There is a crispness to it. I saw Will worked with Knocked Loose. I was wondering if it was their new album, but it's their first album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It feels good. The performances are super duper tight. Everybody's fucking. There's a lot of good tonal it might be. They have like a sampler guy, don't they?
Yes, they did credit a sampler.
Shawnee Sean. Man, that is. I don't know why I can't say that either. I don't know exactly what would be classified as what that guy is doing. It's hard to tell because it's a busy mix. But there's like stuff like on the on the intro, the interrogation intro, which is basically a song. It's just kind of categorized as an intro. There's these sustained sound like sustained dissonant guitar notes just in the background at all times. Could just be samples, but it's just a nice little element that makes the songs feel a little bit more slashery, a little bit more sinister, a little bit more, grindhousey. Is that the right word? Grindhouse? I don't even know what a grindhouse movie is. I just heard the word and it seemed like it made sense.
Grindhouse, technically they don't always have to be horror movies, but I'll allow it.
Okay.
But yeah, like the title track, when I say it's stabby, it's because that production you're talking about.
Yeah, it works. It has and it's funny because like you could have all these things. A lot of moments here remind me of. I haven't listened to the band Ghoul since I was a teenager, but I was a big fan back then. A lot of this stuff kind of reminds me of how they did thrash, at least back in the early 2000s, where it was like a really gnarly, dirty, brutal, super duper evil sounding thrash, but it's still very lively like thrash. So it's like that kind of thrash with fucking Ice-T on it. So you are in fucking LA when you listen to this album, whether you like it or not.
Hell yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I never know where these Body Count albums are gonna land, and I'm just just happy when it's good.
Hell yeah.
On the next album, I want Brian Garris from Knocked Loose on a track, though.
I don't see why not. There's no reason why not.
There actually is no reason why outside of scheduling conflicts.
Yeah. But yeah, this album comes out on November 22nd. So
yep.
Yeah, so this upcoming Friday, if you're watching this the week of release. But last note, I will say that this album cover is hilarious. I mean, come on, it's so fucking funny.
You can't judge a book by its cover. It's
a little goofy. I do appreciate that the Body's in red and Count is in blue. It's very timely for the the election stuff. I get it. The problem is that it's like an iPhone photo and the guy in the background is clearly wearing a mask. I mean, it's clearly wearing a mask.
He looks like the ECW wrestler Sandman.
Yes. It looks like a mask of Sandman. Yeah.
This album cover, the way it looks does feel like a throwback to the 90s a little bit. Like
which album was it of theirs in the 90s that am I thinking of? Murder for Hire was one I was thinking of. It's not exactly that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's the same.
More comic looking. Yeah.
Yeah, same energy though.
Yeah, same energy. I would say that, but which is a little bit. I mean, I enjoy it for the sake that it makes me laugh, but the cover of Carnivore fucking ruled.
Oh yeah, that was like, yeah. Ever since, like, I have some mixed feelings about Manslaughter, but there's some decent things on there. But like, Bloodlust album cover is cool. Like that, this encapsulates Body Count perfectly. And then yeah, Carnivore is like this hyper detailed, almost like someone just drew the whole thing out in pen. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it looks like pen, like red pen. Yeah, but if you zoom in, it's like a full cityscape. It's fucking, man, it's so well done.
Hell yeah. Also, I didn't realize that album got so many accolades, but
dude, we talked about it. That album, they won a fucking Grammy for Carnivore, or for one of the songs of Carnivore.
For Bum Rush, yeah.
Bum Rush, yeah. That's nuts. That's fucking
insane.
And like, yeah, they put out the album like a week later. The entire world shuts down because of COVID, so everything gets fucking canceled, and all the dates get canceled. And then they win a Grammy, and they're like, and then the record label sounded like, "Hey, do it again." And they're like, "Fuck, that's all we had." Like that's fucking all we had. So it's kind of amazing this album is this good.
I like how Ice kind of had a chip on his shoulder, though. There's no reason for him to have one, but he kind of did this from like being denied like touring and promoting this album. So
I think he had a right to, man. Like having your life taken away like that, and the fact that like he says it. He's on Law and Order for the money, and he makes music to keep himself going. Like if they take away your reason for living, for God's sake.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I think as a poor, I'm just like, oh, you're financially fine. What's the issue? But yeah, I love that he's financially secure and still feels, as we've talked about, it's insane. He has spent more time on Body Count than his rap career at this point. And
amazing that he's more of a metalhead than a rapper. Ice-T, one of the legends of hip hop. He's more of a metalhead than a rapper now.
Just what a blessed timeline that I'm alive at the same time as Ice-T.
Yeah, homeboy rules. Hell yeah. I shouldn't have called him homeboy. Please don't hurt me. I'm sorry. But yeah, so check out the album when it comes out, or check it out now, of course. Yeah, so if you like to enjoy the episode, you know what to fucking do. Like it, leave a comment, tell us why we're idiots. You can subscribe and be cool and be a part of the whole thing, though. You can do that instead. You can follow me on all social media at Pounder Monkey, and Alex on Instagram at
Every Album Alex.
And please be sure to follow our history guy, Tom Osman, who does a bunch of work for us. He gets us these albums in advance. He helps us connect with people because he's much better talking to folks than I am. That's for sure.
Also, yeah, I saw this was coming out, and Tom was just like, I'll be your Huckleberry. Like he came through and made it happen real quick.
So quick. Alex was like, I know we probably won't be able to get it, but just try. And within a week, so huge
with
thanks
the
to
quickness,
Tom.
yeah.
Indeed. Go support, go follow him. Tom Osman Sounds on all social media, and TomOsmanSounds.com for all his music. He just put out a new collab album, and his podcast, Whatever Comes Next, where he interviews a bunch of indie musicians. Good stuff. Check it out. And baby, patreon.com/every album ever. That's where you go to support us. You get 2 bonus episodes a month. You get to see our schedules in advance. You get to vote on polls to decide who we cover next. You get to join our Discord, be a part of the community. You can suggest new albums that came out this year, and we'll do these singles episodes on them. And if you're tier 2, then you can suggest a full discography that we'll cover on our bigger, longer numbered episodes. In addition to that, you can suggest any album ever from anywhere, and we'll do Patreon bonus episodes on it. So there's lots of stuff there. It's very cool, very fun. And closing it out.
What are the singles out again?
As of now, as of the recording of this, the singles that are out are Psychopath, Fuck What You Heard, and Comfortably Numb.
It's got to be Psychopath, right?
I agree. Yes,
okay.
It does rule.
Although Fuck What You Heard does have the funny lyric.
Yes.
No, whatever you want.
Let's do Psychopath.
Okay.
So thank you so much for listening and watching. See ya.